So imagine that we were best friends, the best of buddies, the best of pals. We grew up with each other. And one day, standing across from each other, not too far from each other, close enough to have a conversation, we were contemplating the many mysteries of the universe across from each other as we were speaking and conversing, as we always do as best friends. And a stranger, a random stranger, walks up to us as we are diametrically opposing each other and expressing our ideas to our closest friends and family members, whoever that may be. And that person asks us for directions. Now remember, we're both standing across from each other, and we both begin unconsciously to give this third party directions. You know, they come in and they ask, I'm looking for so-and-so and so-and-so. How do I get there, guys? And both of us begin to give directions, right? You give directions from your point of view. You're like, yo, just go up, make a left. And I give mine, the moon's out. And I give my interpretation. I'm like, yo, but just go up and make a right. So we both could have, good intentions. We both could be trying to help. Another lesson on perspective and perception. So the same thing can go, it can go on a date or something like that, or a restaurant when we go out and we have meals with our family or our friends, the people that's closest to us, and we're having friendly dialogue with each other. We're sitting across from each other. There's really no harm and foul of it or to it unless you really put thought into it or the intent into your manifestation. You are basically, especially if you're on a date, you're sitting across from each other and you're expressing your ideas to each other, similarly to how two opposing armies would be squaring off against each other in an open field. I imagine if I was sitting next to my date, I would want to put my arm around her, or she might want to throw her little signals and rub her leg up against me. This has all become idiosyncrasy, whatever. Due to the Me Too movement, it's almost 12, and I'm currently detoxing, so my memory's all over the place. But yeah, man. And do the intro. Welcome back to the channel. It's me, Antonio, back with another worthwhile, thought-provoking session for you guys. Hitting the 3-minute mark. But yeah, just receiving some interesting downloads again. Trying to identify consciousness, awareness, mindfulness, and people see things differently than animals do. Plants see things different. And I always talk about having a higher perspective. So trees can grow higher than man. So they have a higher perspective than man. They're trying to reach up towards the sun. And even birds. Birds have wings. They have a higher perspective on life. That's why I always kind of, envy birds in a sort of way with their wings and whatnot, and the angels. And past life over here, But expansion and learning even new things today. The rain starts to rain as soon as I come outside, right? And even karma transcends into dharma, or evolves into dharma. It's a certain state of being where you're in a continuous flow of your blessings or your curses, depending on how you live your life. But when we talk about dharma, we're talking about normally the positivity that you have created throughout your multiple lifespans. And then, at a certain point of your life, you're granted certain accesses or certain enlightenments based on your overall performance. It's like being graded by the universe. But you know, that's you know, something, again, people will say can't be proven and things like that. Will say, oh, he's thinking outside of the box and he's being weird and all these things. You know, more of, you know, concealment, obfuscation, misdirection, and things like that. You know, again, we're getting dumber and stupider over time as an overall species. We're not exercising as much as we should because everything is automated. We're not thinking as much as we should because everything is automated. So, you know, when you see someone that is actually exercising their brain or exercising their thought process, that is alien. That's what an alien comes from. That is foreign to most people. Most people don't, again, think outside of themselves to be like, oh, well, for 366 days, I'm just going to keep recording videos and exposing myself, and people are going to be able to log onto my social media accounts and come up with all these different type of stories about what's going on in my life and this and that. It's a part of being a star. It's a part of being, you know, an ascended soul, being transparent. You know, many other things. You know, so many labels and titles people will begin to thrust upon us. You know, it all comes with the territory. You know, again, you know, I'm just trying to do my part. I may not do enough walking. Pun intended. I may not do enough walking, but I know I do enough talking. You know, a new form of media. We're still reading books from thousands of years ago, so there'll be cultures and there'll be people and children from different races and cultures that'll be able to look back on these mediums that we created in the early 21st century, and you know, they'll be able to say, yo, look, it's this video from 100 years ago. This guy was talking about this stuff and people didn't really want to believe him. We was entering the spiritual age. People are going insane because of the whole COVID thing that happened early 21st century. People's emotions were off balance and people were just feeling things that they didn't know they always felt. But since, you know, again, I don't want to have to storytell for you guys this evening. You know, it's my day off. Tomorrow I'll be definitely putting in some work for the good old family. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about. It's perspective, you know. Fellow Libra, you know, a well-known actor, you know, has a fairly decent, I mean, he has a high level of intelligence and spirituality. I'm not sure if he knew at the time when he was shooting this video that it was a movie, that it was a movie that was of a very high spiritual purpose. You know, the people that pull the strings behind these Hollywood movies know what they're doing. You know, even you know, myself or anyone, you get to the point where you think you have so much power that you can just gloat in front of the people and be like, this is what you guys really are, but you guys are so blinded that you guys don't really know you have this power. Like, there's really the concept of psychics and empaths. A psychic is not so much of a mystical thing that people think it is. The same thing as being a magician or an alchemist or whatever the case may be. People think it's just some weird foreign concept. Again, spirituality or religion and science explains each other. The splitting of the atom. Yes, Adam, the female was created from his rib. You have to be able to decode the interpretation. The rib is on your side. We're not saying that she is below Adam. She was created from his side. She is right next to him. Even with the whole soulmates and twin flame things, it's a very hard journey that people will have to go through. Celebrities in their 30-year-old, 40, 50-year-old marriages, they should know these things. Like, we all have our own forms of therapy that we need to go through. You know, you're gonna have that moment when karma hits you all at once, and the more responsible you should be when karma hits you, it's gonna hit you even more because you should know better. That's the whole thing of people. You know, they're masterminds at doing things that they're not supposed to be doing, but when it's time to do something right, they act like they're so foreign to her, like the government. Like, if you want your country to be the most powerful country in the world, do the most simplest thing, like giving out free health care. You spend so much money on these other things like wars and all these military. I'm pretty sure there's probably invisible suits running up and down the street right now, some helicopter flying right now. Like, what is this black guy doing out in the middle of the night? But again, jokes. So it's like you can get the funny man to shoot as many, to record you answering as many of your own questions as you want. But when you die, your kids have to live for themselves. When your parents die, you had to make decisions for yourself, right? It's not just a TV show about your father not loving you, or your father walking out on you, or whatever the case may be. Life dictates art at the end of the day. We all, you know, again, as a masculine, I would want my mother to always be there, to never give up on me. And I understand as a feminine, using my feminine energy is not about being a man or whatever the case may be that people think it is. Being a man, I value my mother, even though she be acting crazy sometimes, but I value my mother's perspective. But at the end of the day, I know that they won't always be there for me, and I won't always be there for my children. However much of a tough love it is, or walking your own life path, I can't help it. People are so ignorant to birth charts. It's set up in the stars for me to not have my children in my life if I don't work at it. Because I'm supposed to do something greater, like schooling people that think they know so much. Again, I've been through things that people 3 times my lifetime has not been through, so we can go back and forth on who has the most experience, or who's the oldest, or who's been through what. And everybody has their own oblivion, or whatever the case may be. Again, these are all metaphors that we will put on this earth to make sure that we understand the value of life, the value of togetherness, and trying to move the culture forward. You know, again, we don't need people being shackled down for no reason. You know, all these simple, minor misunderstandings. Yeah, I'm getting attacked by germs right now. Friggin' shaved, and then next thing you know, I have a boil under my freaking. Thought it was my lymph nodes swelling up. But yeah, how often do you hear black men talking about lymph nodes as a signal to know when you're sick? Like, I'm not stupid, I'm not crazy, I'm not dumb. The world will know though. It's in my star. It's in my birth chart as well, to be the star. Take that interpretation however you want to take that interpretation. However foolish I may look as well. You know, I know a lot of actors that look very foolish in their movies. But it's all for the sake of fun and games and entertainment, right? Let's influence the people and influence the culture in a positive way. Libras have a good way of doing that. Literally the godson, really. To be honest with you, I don't really have time to go into it, but we have a lot of responsibility. It's like being the middle child. You get halfway through the zodiac, and then you get to Libra, which is neither a human or an animal. They're not supposed to be emotional. They're supposed to be a judge. They're supposed to set boundaries. They're supposed to make sure everyone follows the rules. It's a simple system of justice. And then the further you go down the line, you get more powerful. But again, but great power becomes great responsibility. It's like being the Incredible Hulk or being the Juggernaut. Just because you're stronger or you're smarter, you're faster, doesn't mean that you get to bend the rules in any way that you want to bend the rules. Just because you're richer does not mean that you get to bend the rules to what you think or that you say the rules are. There's different roles in society, and there's different levels to awareness. But that's all. You know, I'm rambling, and I need to be taking care of some personal business, you know. I happen to think that, again, God has his hand on my life, and the right people will see these videos at the right time. And you know, what could be worse than dying? I've already been through that. So, you know, what could be worse than that? Been dead before.